Hello and welcome back to Green-HillGaming, where I share my passion of video games with the whole wide world. I'm back once again with another Resident Evil Village discussion live stream. And in this discussion, I'll be talking about Alex Wesker and her possible connection to Resident Evil Village. So sit back, relax, stay safe, but as always, more importantly, enjoy the live stream. So according to leaks, which have been 100% accurate so far, Resident Evil Village originally started out as Resident Evil Revelations 3. And in Revelations 2, there's my lovely voice in the background, introduced to a character called Alex Wesker for the very first time. She's a very important character, not only in the Resident Evil series, but she was the main antagonist of Revelations 2. We'll talk a little bit more about Revelations 2 and Alex Wesker herself in a few minutes. But I just wanted to focus on the fact that development of Resident Evil Village started out as Resident Evil Revelations 3 originally. So that's more or less confirmed at this stage as I drink my cup of tea. And I just want to say hello to my viewer who is enjoying the live stream. You're very welcome to Green-HillGaming. You're very welcome to my Resident Evil Village discussion. In this discussion I am talking about the possible connection between Alex Wesker and Resident Evil Village. You know, possible being the most important word there, because none of this is maybe some bits are concrete, like, but when I discuss Resident Evil Village, like, it's not 100% set in stone. So I say possible as many times as I can. And how do you do to my second viewer who has joined the live stream? You're also very welcome to Green-HillGaming. Great to have you both on the live stream. And I hope that you enjoy my Resident Evil Village discussion, where I'll be talking about Alex Wesker. And we'll get to Alex Wesker in a second, but I just wanted to hit home the point that Resident Evil Village was originally Resident Evil Revelations 3. I think I said 2 earlier, I meant to say Revelations 3. And the reason that's important is because, like, when I get to talk about Alex Wesker eventually, and how I feel she'll be connected to Village, like, it's important to, you know, to point out the fact, to point out the Revelations 3. Revelations 3. Sorry, no, I'm getting a bit distracted. The Revelations 3 point, because there's so many leaks. There's been so many leaks surrounding Resident Evil Village, and like, they've all been right from the setting. I'm watching, just can't say anything because my phone is broke. No problem. That was James, I believe. James, welcome. Welcome to the live stream, man. Great to have you on the live stream. No problem. I think that was James anyway. I better double check that. Because if it's not, it is. If it's not, like, the guy is going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? But it is James. It's the one and only James. Enjoyed the live stream, man. And no problem. All you need to do is listen to my voice. My soothing voice that would put a fucking that would put a zombie to sleep. To be honest, to be honest with you. Now I'll try to be as entertaining as I can. It's pretty early. Well, for me anyway, it's pretty early. I'm still half asleep, drinking my cup of tea, hoping that it'll wake me up. Okay, so I've been hanging around this point too long now. So yeah, so I wanted to focus. Like the main part of this discussion is to understand that according to leaks, which again have been 100% accurate so far, so you kind of have to take what they say as confirmation at this stage. I mean, the leaks have predicted the enemies of Village, the story of Village, the characters of Village. I mean, like, do I need to go on? Like, the leaks have pretty much been Capcom at this stage, like, you know, in terms of delivering news on Resident Evil Village. So one of the things that they said was there's actually two things they said actually. They said that Resident Evil Village started development as Resident Evil Revelations 3, and they also said that Alex Wesker will be the antagonist of the game. So that's important, because when I'm talking about Alex Wesker, like, I'm not just like fucking clutching at straws with that one. Do you know what I mean? I'm not just saying, oh, wouldn't it be great if Leon Kennedy came back, and if I had nothing to base that off, you know. Alright, so Alex Wesker, Mrs. Wesker, she was introduced into the series. She was actually introduced into the series in Resident Evil 5, actually. I think it was the DLC, Lost in Nightmare, or else it might have been the base game itself. Okay, I don't want to give an entire backstory to her. Like, I don't want to discuss her backstory too much, because the live stream will be too long. But she was first referenced in Resident Evil 5. But she made her appearance, her physical appearance, in Resident Evil Revelations 2 as the main antagonist. She is the only surviving member of the Wesker Children Project, which I won't discuss. It's not really important. One thing I want to say, without alienating anybody, any of my viewers, I don't want to alienate anyone, but I will say this going forward. The target audience, I never really have a target audience, but my target audience with my Resident Evil Village discussion live streams is going to be die-hard Resident Evil fans. So, like, when I say Alex Wesker, I expect that target audience to understand who she is. So I don't really want to, I feel like I don't need to give this big massive backstory behind these characters. Anyone who clicks onto a Resident Evil Village discussion video, in my opinion, should at least know about the Resident Evil lore. So I just wanted to get that out of there without alienating anybody. You can still sit back and relax and enjoy. Just don't expect like a Wikipedia, you know, fucking explanation to every single character and game that I mention. So Alex Wesker was the main antagonist in Revelations 2. There's a few things that I wanted to talk about, but I don't know if I need to talk about all of them. Okay, well, I'll point out the fact that throughout the whole game, her story, her deal was she was very sick, she was dying, she didn't want to die because she wanted to continue the goals of Oswald E. Spencer, who was kind of her father, but not actually her father. He wanted to restart the world. He felt the world was self-destructive, which, to be honest with you, look around you, he was dead right. And he wanted to populate the world with advanced humans. Alex wanted to continue his goals, but she was dying. But rather than looking for a virus that would make her immortal, like Oswald wanted to do, She was a bit more clever. She was a bit more advanced. She came up with a way to digitally transfer her consciousness into a vessel, into another human being. But the vessel needed to be very strong minded, strong mentality that could withstand like the trauma of that. Like, I mean, imagine having someone else's consciousness transferred into you. Like, you'd have to have a very strong mind to withdraw that, like to go through that. So then she came across this virus that one of her researchers, because she was a doctor, like she was researching biological weapons. One of her researchers was like, here's me giving the fucking backstory, again, as a reminder more or less. Came up with a virus called the T. phobius, which was a strain of the progenitor virus, which it only releases into the body when the body experiences fear and trauma. So she kind of said, okay, well, if I can inject people with this and if somebody can basically not feel fear, then that's my vessel. Long story short, anyway, the perfect candidate was a young girl, a 10-year-old girl called Natalia. She was actually a survivor of the Terra Grigia panic that was in Revelations 1. She lost her parents. Not only did she lose her parents, she saw her parents die in front of her in the Terra Grigia bioterrorism attack. And I think just seeing that, she just didn't feel anything after that. She didn't feel no fear. Fear was not a thing for her. So I want to say, long story short, without telling the exact story, Revelations 2, Alex Wesker successfully transferred her consciousness into the body of Natalia. And that's canon. That's a canon storyline. Now, I just want to focus on a few things before I go any further. Capcom, and I've been saying this since Revelations 2. I've been saying this since the game came out. Capcom are not going to introduce Alex Wesker into the series and then just let her die. She's going to be a pivotal character going forward. She's essentially the next Wesker. Literally, she is literally the next Wesker. They're not going to abandon her character. They're not going to abandon that story. They're going to move forward with it. And I think that Village is going to be that game where she goes forward as one of the pivotal antagonists in the series going forward. Okay, sorry. I forgot what I was going to say there. So basically what happens at the end of Revelations 2 is one of the heroes of the game. He basically adopts Natalia, this young girl. Little does he know that Natalia is slowly but surely transforming into Alex Wesker. Alex Wesker's consciousness is being, I suppose, downloaded onto Alex Wesker's mind, taking over her mind. So he adopts her, brings her home to the Burton family, so Moira Burton and Polly Burton. And that's the canon ending of Revelations 2. Now people will say oh, but how's Revelations canon, yada yada yada. Well, it is canon, first of all. It's not part of the main series as such, but it is canon. It's 100% canon. No doubt about that. But again, Capcom are not going to introduce Alex Wesker and just not talk about her again. She will, and considering that Village started off as Revelations 3, I think it's pretty safe to say that Alex Wesker is going to make an appearance in Village. And I'm not the only person saying that, by the way. I just want to put my hands up in the air and say, hey, Green-HillGaming is not declaring to be the only person talking about that. There's a lot of people talking about that. There's a lot, because it came from the leaks, so nobody can take credit for saying, oh, do you know what I thought of today? I'm amazing because I think that Alex Wesker is going to be in Village. You know what I mean? Nobody is going to be saying that because the leaks were the first, whoever, I don't know who the leaker was, but I forget the name. But it was the leaks that said that, Revelations 3 is how Village started off, and it was the leaks that said Alex Wesker would appear. But I did promise when I said I would be doing these village discussions that I would be having a personal perspective on the situation, and I promised to do that. Here is what I've noticed that nobody else has noticed. So again, bear in mind, now there's an Alex Wesker out there in the Resident Evil universe. Last we saw of her, she was disguised as a 10-year-old because she managed to transfer her consciousness into that 10-year-old. Barry Burton is her adopted father, and we're led to believe that they're all living happily ever after. But let's remind ourselves the last time that a mysterious girl showed up in a house in the Resident Evil series. How did that go? This game right here, Resident Evil 7, when Evelyn showed up in the Baker family. That didn't go well for any of the Bakers, did it? So imagine having a Wesker. And believe me, I've played Revelations 2 now twice, right, back to front. Anyone who thinks that like Albert Wesker is like, oh my god, look how evil he is. Oh my god, he slapped Claire Redfield around. Natalia is a 10-year-old girl. Right, Alex Wesker was strangling her to death. And that's not even the half of it, like, you know. That's not even the half of it, man. I mean, she is one sinister bitch. Like, she will make Albert Wesker look like Barney the fucking dinosaur. I am telling you, man. So, imagine, like, Alex Wesker as, like, you know, again, she transferred her consciousness into the body of a 10-year-old girl. I mean, like, damn, like, you're talking like some serious fucking Japanese horror style fucking thing there when she lives with the Burtons. But anyway, so safe to say, I think that I don't even think it's a matter of thinking anymore, because the leaks have more or less confirmed that, like, Alex Wesker will be in Alex Wesker will be in Village. Simply because of everything I pointed out so far, the fact that Village started out as Revelations 3, and the leaks have also said that Alex Wesker will be in the game, so it's pretty much confirmed that she'll be in the game. I just wanted to kind of speak about that a little bit, you know. That's what's out there. All of that is out there. All of that is out there. That's not what I'm not here to kind of say, hey, you know, this is all exclusive to Green-HillGaming. You know, we all know that, right? Don't we? Okay. So here's how I think that. Well, wait a second now. Okay. So the next part, what I want to say is, I've took note of something that nobody seems to be talking about. Nobody seems to be referencing this, right? The very final scene in Revelations 2, like the post-credits scene, because you know we all love the post-credits scenes, don't we? Well, the post-credits scenes of Revelations 2, you see Natalia. She's up in her room, her new room, the Burton family, and she's reading from a book. And she's not just reading from a book like some sort of like you know, she's not like doing her homework or some kind of normal. She's reading this weird story about a bird in a cage. The bird is now the cage, and the cage is the bird, and the bird is free, and bird is the word. You know, I don't know. Sorry, but no, she's reading from a book. There's a reason why I'm focusing on this. Like, anyone who has watched the Village trailer will know what I'm talking about. She's reading from a book, and she's reading in a very strange way, and she's talking about something very strange. That's the final scene we see of Revelations 2. Now, bear in mind, Village was originally meant to be Revelations 3. One of the very first things you see in the Village trailer is a woman who, to me, does not look one bit like Mia Winters. And I've heard people saying this as well. Her hair is different. Her hair looks blonde almost. It just doesn't look like Mia Winters. The lady on the floor who's been shot to death by, well, led to believe is being shot to death anyway, by Chris Redfield, that looks like Mia Winters. But the woman that we see at the start of the trailer does not look like Mia Winters. She's reading from a book as well. She's reading from a book, and she's talking about, like, you know, fucking a girl going into the woods looking for berries. She goes missing. She gets taken by Epstein. I made the last part up. But she's talking about like this. She's reading this kind of like folklore story. It's not exactly the same end scene in Revelations 2, but it's close enough. No, I mean I do have a habit of looking too much into things, you know, and getting easily distracted. Like right now, I'm watching a lot of crows having a fight on the roof of the house across the road from me. I mean, they're going at it, man. It's like the Royal Rumble. It's like the Crow Rumble. The Crow Rumble. Oh, and it's the Crow Taker. The Crow Taker has... Sorry. See, I get distracted. So I do look too much into things. This could just be Capcom kind of like, you know, reusing the same kind of like story ideas. You know, it could be the same person just saying, oh, let's do another scene where there's a mysterious woman reading from a book. You know, I don't know. But that's just something that I took away. This is probably the most boring village discussion so far, I would have to say. Like, definitely hasn't lived up to the previous one where we spoke about Wesker's new umbrella and the identity of the connections. That was like, I felt like I was cracking the fucking Da Vinci Code with that discussion. Seriously, like, I fucking felt like I found the meaning of life. Everything just fitted, everything clicked. It was like perfect. Like there was no holes in any of that fucking... Well, apart from the fact that I said that Wesker was dead. But hey, let's talk about that actually very briefly, because that does actually tie in with Alex Wesker. Throughout the whole game of Revelations 2, when you're introduced to Alex Wesker, she talks about death being her... I forget what the exact quote is. I think it was like death was her escape or something. Basically, like she was relying on dying. She literally shot herself in the head so she could die, and then her consciousness could be transferred into Natalia. Now, I don't know the exact process of how that works. I know that she was in close proximity to Natalia, but she didn't have anything attached to her. Like she didn't. It wasn't like, you know, you see those movies like Fly. You know that? I don't know if anyone knows the movie Fly, but like, you know those kind of like, do you know the picture of like when you want to transfer into another vessel? You'd always see like one person like in this like tube, and he's got like things connected to his head, and then that's connected to the next tube, and the other person's in there, and that. But that wasn't the case with Revelations 2. Alex Wesker had nothing attached to her. She basically just killed herself, and then when she died, her consciousness, or soul, so to speak, was able to transfer itself into Natalia. Now, Natalia was in the same room as Alex, but I don't think it was like some kind of Wi-Fi shit. Like, I don't think she has to be in range of the Alex Wesker Wi-Fi zone or some shit like that, you know. So anyway, we know that in Revelations 2, we know that Alex Wesker and Albert Wesker had a very good relationship. You know, they're the two surviving members of the Wesker Children Project. They both shared, well, I don't know if Albert shared the view of Spencer, but they basically kind of have similar goals, and they work very close together. So Albert would have known about this project. Albert would have known about the T-Phobos project. He would have known what Alex Wesker was up to. For God's sake, Alex had a picture of herself and Albert in Revelations 2, so they're very close. So Albert must have like been chilling out with Wesker, you know, someday, having a few beers, you know, talking about like destroying the world. How are we going to destroy the world today, Alex? Well, Albert, funny you should ask. And then she probably just like tells him about like this project of being able to transfer your consciousness into another body. And Albert is like, fuck it, I love that. I mean, I've got enough enemies as it is. I mean, fucking Chris Redfield wants to kill me. Now there's the BSSA. Man, I can't walk out the fucking road without being shot. Come on, let's do this, you know? So what if something wasn't already put into place? What if a candidate for Albert Wesker wasn't already found and just kept away somewhere? And like, what if there was this like vessel, you know, kept away somewhere in an umbrella facility, you know, waiting to be reborn as Albert Wesker? And when Wesker died in Resident Evil 5, that his consciousness wasn't transferred into this vessel. Because the thing is, a lot of quote unquote die-hard Resident Evil fans are actually not die-hard Resident Evil fans, just people who play popular games. So 5 was a popular game, 6 was a popular game. You know, they were all popular games, yeah. But Revelations is not a popular game. You know what I mean? It's not like shoved down your throat everywhere you go. Do you know what I mean? Like 5 and 6 was. So a lot of those quote-unquote die-hard Resident Evil fans didn't play Revelations 1 or Revelations 2. So they're probably like, who the fuck is Alex Wesker? You know, so they overlook it. They overlook that game, and it's really kind of embarrassing for those people because, like, they don't know then about this technology that is available in the Resident Evil universe, which allows you to transfer your consciousness into another vessel. So death is basically an escape. Death is basically nothing in the Resident Evil series, and it isn't just random character that has this technology. It's fucking a Wesker that has this technology. It's Alex Wesker, who would have been very close to Albert Wesker. So I was thinking this does tie into this discussion. It kind of ties a little bit into the previous discussion as well, where I spoke about Albert Wesker, because it was funny, because I was getting to the end of that discussion. I was asking myself, is there any holes in this story? And then I kind of reminded myself that the last we saw of Albert Wesker, he had 2 rocket launchers fired at him, and he drowned in a pool of lava. I'm thinking, that's a pretty fucking big hole in my story, isn't it? Like, how is Albert Wesker going to have a new umbrella when he's floating down a lava river? Like some kind of fucking burnt pasta. But again, you know, you have to remind yourself of Revelations 2, and then you also have to remind yourself that Village started off as Revelations 3. Remind yourself of Alex Wesker, what her goals were, and what she accomplished at the end of the Revelations 2, where she would successfully transfer her consciousness into Natalia. Wants to say that Alex didn't work with Albert to ensure the same for him. Because Alex Wesker doesn't really kind of like. Well, she does reference his death, but it's interesting. It's almost teasing the idea that Albert Wesker is still alive. It really is. So that technology is out there. Now, I still haven't been successful in linking all my theories into, like, why is there werewolves or werewolf-like creatures? Why is there witches? Why is all this happening? You know, how does it all tie in? I haven't been able to successfully kind of answer that, but I'm sure you will. So I'm just browsing through my thing. But I'm sure I'll be able to piece all the pieces together, solve the puzzle of what Village will be all about. But one thing that springs to mind just here now is, what if that? There's another thing as well. There's another thing. Like, when I saw the castle in Village, one of the first things that sprung to my mind was a Spencer estate, and then I started Googling Spencer and reminding myself who he is. And when I found out that he grew up in a castle in England because his family were aristocratic, I was like, oh man, this could be the castle where he grew up. And then of course I realised that Spencer's family estate was already shown in Resident Evil 5, and then I found out that Village was set in Romania, and then I kind of got a bit kind of upset. I was like, bastards, shooting down my fucking theory. But then I realised that Spencer had actually a lot more Spencer estates built. I mean, like, he didn't just build one mansion in fucking Raccoon City, like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's the fucking CEO. He was the CEO of a fucking worldwide multi-billionaire fucking corporation, right? He's not just going to have one mansion in the middle of America. I mean, he's going to have a lot of Spencer estates. And not just Wesker, the people who worked for Wesker, particularly like the people closest to him, like the surviving members of the Wesker Children Project, including Wesker. She went off to an island, and she took over that island, and she had a lot of money. In her facility, she actually had a little mini mansion built in her facility where she was doing her research. Very, very Spencer-esque. And something I really noticed was the chandelier. I know a chandelier is just a chandelier, and again, like Capcom are going to use like assets, like they're going to use like designs of previous games, and they're going to incorporate it. But the chandeliers in this mini mansion where Wesker is at the end of the game, Alex Wesker is, as you point out, very similar to the chandeliers you see in the castle and village. So I'm just going to like throw it out there. You know, that castle could be a Spencer estate / research facility, like umbrella facility, that was like giving to either Alex Wesker or Albert Wesker. And in that facility could be where Albert Wesker's new body, new vessel, could be lying. So maybe you get to the castle. Maybe the castle is towards the end of the game, right? And you get to the castle, and you read these documents, and it's all about like Alex and Wesker and how they're going to work together to ensure that they both live forever. And you basically just see this empty vessel, or that's not empty vessel, but it's empty container or something, and there's a note basically saying my time has come, and it's signed Albert Wesker. And you as the player just get goosebumps because you just know that fucking Wesker is out there somewhere, you know. That could be a thing. So that could connect the castle to my theory, you know, because we already seen the Umbrella logo in that castle, and it's very similar to like Spencer type castle. As far as the 3 people living in the castle, I've heard theories. There's 3 or 4, I can't remember. I've heard people saying that it's Alex Wesker, Moira Burton, Claire Redfield, and Polly Burton, that like Natalia kind of like has controlled them all. Maybe she used the Evelyn virus to achieve that. Maybe she actually infected herself with it, and then therefore was able to control the infection to actually infect other people, or something like that. I don't know, because how else would she have complete control over them? But that's just a possibility. But why? I think Alex Wesker would just kill them, to be honest with you. So just making them her slaves. So I don't really know how that would fit in, but and we're going to wrap up the live stream here now because I want to get on with the rest of my morning. There's not much left of a morning really at this stage. But that's it. No, I gotta admit, not the most exciting Resident Evil Village discussion, really. The only thing that I'm proud of is because everything I've said so far is basically what other people have been saying, and I fucking wanted to avoid that so much. Like, I'm actually disappointed on myself, to be honest with you. I wanted to avoid that more than anything else. Like, there's tons of people talking about Alex Wesker in Village. There's tons of people talking about the connection to Revelations 3, because I mean it's all out there. It's fucking just people that's copying what other leakers are saying. But the only thing that I will take away from it is the post credit scene in Revelations 2, where Natalia / Alex Wesker is reading from a book, and then in the Village trailer you see a woman who doesn't look like Mia Winters reading a book. So that could be Alex Wesker. It could be her. Like, who do we have? Leon Kennedy. It's a Leon Kennedy. Oh my God, it's a Leon Kennedy. Leon, I'm honoured to have you in this live stream. How have you been keeping? How's Ada Wong getting on? Have you tied the knot yet? Have you been involved in any bioterrorist incidents lately? How's Ashley getting on? You still babysitting Ashley? Leon! But all joking aside, welcome to the live stream. I was just about to wrap up the live stream, but now that Leon Kennedy's in the live stream, I actually I actually can't leave because this is actually very funny. Leon Kennedy is in my live stream. Are you going to make an appearance in Village, Leon? Are you going to show up like and just like kick down the door? You know, big badass Leon, kick the fucking door open with your big denim jacket, your big fluffy denim jacket, like, but kick in the door of that castle. Sorry to interrupt bingo, guys, but Leon S. fucking Kennedy is here to fuck shit up. Now that would be a scene. Oh, that's hilarious. No, and all joking aside, I will be wrapping up the live stream in just a few moments. But yeah, I mean, I do my best to keep my my village discussions kind of like personal. When I say personal, what I mean by that is I want to take away something that is only coming from me. Like, I don't want to be like doing these discussions and just repeating what everyone else is saying online, because that's boring. And I feel like I've been doing a lot of that in this live stream, which is why I'm disappointed. Because see, what I wanted to do, I should have planned it a little bit more. You see, what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk about Alex Wesker. I wanted to talk about how I think Alex Wesker will be connected to Village. But what I ended up doing is basically just talking about the fact that Village started off as Revelations 3, which we all know. So I was repeating what everyone else already knows. And then I was talking about the fact that Alex Wesker will be in the game, which we all know. And then I was talking about what happened in Revelations 2, which obviously we all know because it fucking happened. So I failed to kind of like, I failed you, Leon. I failed you. But no, I failed in delivering this discussion effectively. But the next one I will be a lot better, I promise. So yeah, I did. I failed. I wanted to kind of like discuss like how I think Alex Wesker will be in the game, and kind of like kind of explain how it makes sense, as opposed to just saying she'll be in the game. Because a lot of people will just say, "Oh, Alex Wesker is in the game," but half of those people think Alex Wesker is a he, and the other half think she's the fucking daughter of Alex Wesker. So it frustrates me when these fuckers don't even know who she is, but then they're like, she's in the game, and then they won't go any further and explain how she's in the game. So what I wanted to do was just to remind people. I was going to briefly remind people, but then it went on too long. Remind people that Village was originally Revelations 3. Remind people a little bit of who Alex Wesker is, and just kind of tell people, you know, how it would make sense that she would be in the game, and kind of discuss the whole kind of transfer of our consciousness into Natalia thing. But it went on a bit too long, and I ended up just saying what everyone else knows. Because I feel up until now, everything I've discussed about Village has been something that you wouldn't kind of really hear a lot of. Like, there's not a lot of people talking about, you know, the Spencer family, you know, when it comes to Village. There's not a whole lot of people talking about, like, Albert Wesker in Village. There's a few people, but not a lot of people. And I feel like what I've said, it differs to what everyone else seems to be saying. But this has been more or less kind of like what everyone knows. I wanted to kind of spend more time really on kind of like, you know, as I was talking about earlier, the end credit scene of Revelations 2. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about that, and kind of how she kind of went from being like Natalia to Alex Wesker, and how she'd kind of fit into Village. But I failed. I didn't fully fail though, because I did theorize a little bit about the rebirth of Albert Wesker and how it would potentially play into Village, and how it even connects to the castle. I made this connection to the castle to like some sort of another Spencer estate that may have been given to the Wesker children. Maybe it was the base of the Wesker children project. Who knows? Maybe this is where it all started. But no, in particular, what I kind of came up with was that Albert Wesker's new vessel, where he could transfer his consciousness into, could be in that castle. Anyhow, I think this is the end of the live stream. Anyway, I can't believe Leon Kennedy of all people joined the live stream. This is amazing. Leon, I know you're usually not a man of a few words. I don't know, maybe you're playing a bit of bingo with Ashley. But nonetheless, Leon, it was an honour. It was an honour to have you in the live stream, Leon. Okay, Leon, I'll let you back to your bioterrorism duties. And for God's sake, Leon, tie the knot with Ada. Tie the knot with Ada. Come on, we all know what's happening. For God's sake, we all know what's happening. Just do it. Okay, I'll see you next time in Green-HillGaming, and hopefully my next Resident Evil Village discussion will be a lot more entertaining. So until then, goodbye.